Success isn't given, it's earned. And earning it means becoming the person who deserves it. The bottom line is where we cut through the chaos to simplify success, uncovering the strategies, mindset, and resilience it takes to win. Real stories, expert insights, and practical tools. Because the only way to the top is by putting in the work. This is the bottom line.
We are here on the bottom line. I'm your host, Ryan Herpin, and today we're talking about a challenge that hits very close to home for me. And it affects so many gifted, creative people, and it's self-doubt. This is something that all of us deal with. Not a lot of us talk about it, and it does play a much bigger role in business, being a parent, being a student, being eh, so many areas of life. Self-doubt can creep in and derail things. And what I see, and I think a lot of our audience can attribute to this, is that we know when we have something special to offer, but self-doubt keeps holding us back. It often feels like we're not good enough to succeed, like we're painting our lives with someone else's brush. And that's a pretty rough feeling. And like I said, I've been there many, many times. And even to this day, when I'm stepping into new territories, new fields, new objectives, new goals, I still have that sense of self-doubt. And I want to talk today about how we can really conquer that. But before we bring on today's guest, because we have someone really incredible to talk to about this topic, I'm really excited for it, but I want to reflect on this idea. We weren't meant to shrink in the shadow of our doubts. We were meant to rise through them. This segment is all about understanding that the first step to owning your power is believing it's already within you. And I want to start this by really highlighting a couple of major points that resonate with me well, and that is self-doubt is not a flaw. It's a signal that you care, but caring doesn't mean you have to stay stuck. You know, we wouldn't doubt ourselves if we didn't care. If you genuinely didn't care about the outcome, or what people thought, or what the future brings, none of it would matter. You wouldn't doubt yourself. You wouldn't care about it. But because you care, you're gonna feel that sense of self-doubt. And I want to highlight our brain is wired for survival, not thrival. So self-doubt a lot of the time comes from stepping into something uncomfortable. We don't really doubt ourselves with something we've done a million times or something we're confident in or great at, right? Writing my name. I'm pretty confident writing my name. I don't have any self-doubt for that. But do I have doubt sometimes when it comes to writing a new book? Absolutely. But the reality is, we've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable because growth does not come from those comfort zones. And truth is, every expert, every artist, every leader, everybody that has achieved anything major in life, once upon a time felt unqualified. And that's normal. It's very, very normal. To feel unqualified for what it is you want to do or what it is you are doing is okay. We're always learning. If you were the expert and knew everything there was to know about any given thing, you probably wouldn't be watching me. But you're always going to feel that. And I call this the imposter syndrome, right? And in one of my books I'm writing right now, I talk about imposter syndrome. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit of a different way today than I am in the book, but you're going to feel unqualified becoming the person you are by trying to walk in those shoes right now. You're not that person yet if you believe you're not. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel unqualified. But truth is, to manifest anything, to become anything, you have to live with the feeling and the belief that you already are that thing or already doing that thing before you are. So imposter syndrome is telling you you're unqualified. You're not ready. You're not this. You're a liar. You're a hypocrite. It's not true. You're just becoming this thing. And those are the natural byproducts of putting in the effort. And feeling unqualified is one of them. But self-doubt thrives in silence. One of the best ways to overcome self-doubt is speaking your truth out loud. Surrounding yourself with the right people. It's extremely important. This is something that I cannot undervalue, and you should not undervalue. So if grab pen and pad, write this down because this is something that a lot of people underestimate, and that is the people that are around you. The people can either help you grow, change, move, they can build you up, or they can break you down. They can become that weight, that cord that drags you back and stops you from growing. They can become the cage that prevents you from moving forward. So finding the right people, surrounding yourself with them, and speaking your truth out loud. Tell them what your goals are. Tell them what your doubts are. Tell them what it is you want to be, what it is you want to become. And I promise, if they're real friends and good people, they're going to tell you the truth, even if it sucks. But at the same time, they're also going to tell you when you're good at it, or you should go after it. You should have the confidence. That is a big killer for self doubt. A lot of self doubt is rooted in fear. I would argue that all self doubt is rooted in fear of some sort. A lot of it is fear for letting people down or the judgment of others. It can be fear of just not fulfilling what it is you truly desire, but that will hold you down. That'll keep you quiet. Speaking those truths, speaking that out loud, you're going to find people that can combat that. They can remind you that you're good at this thing. You're great at this thing. You can do this. You can make anything happen. It changes everything. When people stand behind you, ready to push you forward, the world feels a whole lot easier to deal with. But the world is full of noise telling us who to be. But self-worth grows when we learn to quiet the noise and listen inward. I want to break that down a little bit further because our biggest critics are ourselves. We doubt ourselves with everything. We think we're worse off than we really are. We see ourselves in a different light than other people see us. And it's funny because I say something within these lines to my wife all the time. Sometimes my wife is a little self-conscious about herself. She just had another baby. We're a growing family. We're still young, but sometimes she can be self-conscious about her body. And I always have to tell her, I wish you could see yourself through my eyes because the way she sees herself is completely different than the way I see her. So understand, we're always going to be our worst critic. We're always going to break ourselves down more than what we really should. But that's why it's important to surround yourself with those people, right? And often what we think disqualifies us is the very thing that connects us to others. Your wounds, when healing becomes wisdom, really. And that's how I find a lot of people that I work with on a regular basis, whether I become their mentor or I'm their consultant for their business. A lot of it is originally from a connection, not just the fact they need help, but when they do come to me, when I do get introduced, I always find that point of connection, whether it be a wound we've dealt with or something we've had to go through or common dreams, common goals. We always got to find that thing that connects us rather than disqualifies us from progress. And more often than not, people know what you're going through. We like to say no one understands what I'm going through. That is a mental thing. You're telling yourself lies. Don't believe it because there's a lot of people out there that know what you're feeling, know what you're going through because they've been through it. So don't think your experience is so unique to you that it disqualifies you from connecting with others because it doesn't. It can actually be the thing that unifies you, that brings you close to people and creates that meaningful connection that can turn into astronomical growth. But don't let that self doubt eat you, right? Because confidence isn't loud or flashy, it's choosing to show up again and again, even when it's uncomfortable. And a lot of people think, their confidence a lot of the time has a little bit of a bad light to it. People think confidence is very closely tied to arrogance, but I don't think so. I think confidence and discipline go hand in hand because discipline shows up when really discipline shows up when motivation is fleeting, and confidence shows up when you're feeling kind of low or when people might be doubting you, right? There's a saying that I kind of operate from. I even have it written on my whiteboard, and it's something I try to read every day to myself, and I try to really let sink in. And it builds my confidence because one of the biggest motivators for me for the longest time was back in high school. We did a time capsule. And back in ninth grade, when we did the time capsule, my class voted me the most likely to either work at McDonald's for the rest of my life, end up dead, or in prison. And that really frustrated me. I operated out of spite for a while. I wanted to prove everybody wrong. So my confidence at the time was a little bit of arrogance because I became proud and I wanted to prove everybody wrong. But the saying that I live by now and I keep in the forefront of my mind is one day those who doubted you will tell the story of how they met you. For me, that sinks in deep because the fruit of my actions will speak for me. So I don't have to. Knowing that what I'm doing is going to make a difference gives me all the confidence I need. And the discipline to keep pursuing it only fuels that confidence, eliminating self doubt. Think of eliminating self doubt as checking things off a list. It's an easy way to grow confidence. Make a list of things you got to do, things you want to do. As you do them, check them off. Being able to measure your progress gives you the confidence to eliminate self doubt. You can trust in your actions, but you cannot manage what you don't measure. So that's another good way to do it, just like the mirror method, which I'll get into that later. But that's a good way to build that confidence, eliminate that self doubt. So you don't have to take a giant leap to start stepping into your power. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is just take the next smallest step. And like I said before, it can be just find people that are like minded, that want to boost you up, not break you down. Small step, but it can be the small step that takes off like a rocket ship, right? You are not a mistake. And this is a hard one for a lot of people to really connect with. Depends on where you're at in life and where you are mentally. You're not a mistake. You were designed with a purpose, on purpose. The question is, will you trust the process enough to grow into it? Or are you going to fight it based on what other people think about you and your own self doubt? Everyone's born with a gift, in my belief. Find that gift, use that gift, and have that gift transform others. We've got so much more to talk about in the coming segments with our fantastic guest. I'm excited to dive into this stuff. It's going to be powerful. I want to take notes myself, but I've got to be on here. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back on the bottom line.